I don't think that's fair. I think that's a bit disrespectful to the people who give their life, really.
Did you know that funeral homes prefer to hire female employees? And it is exactly for the reason that you think. And there's even a historical precedent for it dating all the way back to ancient Egypt, in which families would often keep the body of a deceased female loved one in their home until the decomposition process begun, because they believed this was the best way to protect the body from being assaulted by the men preparing it for mummification. Did you also know that there are multiple cases of male gynecologists using their own semen in fertility treatments? Did you also know that roughly 67% of women report having experienced medical misogyny? Did you also know that roughly 97% of UK women report having experienced some sort of sexual violence or gender-based violence? And did you also know that roughly 95% of that violence was committed by men? So knowing all that information and those super fun little statistics, is it disrespectful? Is it really disrespectful for women to not trust male medical providers with our bodies, especially the most intimate parts of our bodies? Because I don't think that it is. And to be perfectly honest with you, while you seem like a very nice, well meaning man, I think it comes from a place of incredible privilege and ignorance to say that it is disrespectful for women to not trust male providers after everything men have put women through. As someone who has been in the medical advocacy and patient rights space for quite some time now, and specifically in the women's health and reproductive health aspect of medical advocacy and patient rights, I know very well that there are some amazing, caring male medical providers. I know that. But I also hear stories and see examples every single day of the flip side of that. And I have personal experiences that have left me with PTSD of the flip side of that as well. So please do not, as a man who respectfully has very little idea what you're talking about, come at me and call me disrespectful and unfair for not trusting men, specifically male medical professionals, when they have proven to me time and time again that I should be leery of them. Because this whole argument is essentially the not all men argument being applied to medicine. Yes, I know it's not all men. There's many men in my personal life that I love and care for dearly, and that I know are not like that. Just like there are probably many male doctors that are not like that either. But there's enough of them. It's not all men, but it's enough men. And I hear this argument all the time that no man is going to school for 7+ years just to get access to women's bodies, just to be creepy. Like, there's easier ways to do that, right? Like, do you really think a man would go to all that trouble just for that? Yeah, yeah, I do think they would. We already know from criminal psychology that sociopaths and psychopaths, especially the violent variety, tend to seek out positions of power. So things like politics, law enforcement, even education, and of course, medicine. In fact, one of the most sought after jobs for psychopaths is a surgeon. So, yes, I do absolutely believe it could be possible for a man who wants to be a creep and who wants to get away with doing highly inappropriate, unacceptable things would seek a career in medicine. Because not only is it very likely that they will be able to get away with doing those things for a very long time, possibly even their entire careers, they're also going to make quite a bit of money at it and gain quite a bit of power and respect from it. So, really, what's the downside for them? It's really wonderful that you, as a medical student or a medical professional, can have this view of medicine, this kind of like idealistic viewpoint that everything is fine here. That no or very few professionals are going into this profession for the wrong reasons. But unfortunately, as a woman, I don't have the luxury of being able to have that idealistic outlook. Because I have to protect myself, I have to keep myself safe. Which means kind of inserting myself into this headspace of what would a creepy man do? What would a violent man do? What would a sociopathic man do? Because as a woman, I constantly have to watch my back. No matter where I go, whether I'm walking into a coffee shop, or walking into a doctor's office, or a surgery center, I have to think about these things. Because that's the reality of being a woman. And that's what I mean when I say that I think you're speaking from a place of privilege, and I wish you wouldn't do that. At least not without trying to understand where that privilege comes from and why women feel the way that we do. And it's not just about, looking at naked women's bodies. Like, that's not what this is about. They're not doing all this just so they can see naked women all day. They're doing this for power and control. Because that's what sexual violence is about. It's not about sex, it's not about naked women. It's about power and control, and that is my fear when it comes to male medical professionals. Not that they went to school for 7 years to see me naked. I don't think they did that. The way I see it, I have every right to question the motivations of a man going into a field like gynecology. I think every woman has the right to question that. I think every AFAB person has the right to question that. It's not unfair. It's not disrespectful. And I honestly find it particularly problematic that you talk about medical school as if it's like this horrible trauma. Like, oh my god, that poor medical student had to leave home and go to college for so many years and go through all this horrific training where they had to work night shifts and work all-nighters and leave their families behind, and etc., etc. And that's not to say that medical school isn't hard, but really that's the bar we're setting for horrific. College? We're describing college as horrific, and we're using that to say that it's disrespectful and unfair for women to be uncomfortable with male medical providers. Like, I'm sorry, but if you want to see disrespect, look at how medicine has treated women for centuries. If you want to see horrific and traumatizing, look at sexual violence. Like, I am sorry, you seem like a decent guy. You just really need to look at your privileges and consider them before you try to speak on issues that affect people who don't have them.